My grandma, who lives in a village called Whitwell in Derbyshire, she had an evacuee come to stay with her when she was a little girl. Welcome, my Grandma Linda Elliott.
Hooray!
Thank you, Millie.
Right.
How old was the evacuee who came to stay with you?
I think she was perhaps 8 years old.
That's nearly your age.
Was the evacuee a boy or a girl?
A girl.
How old was you when she came?
I think 7, 8 year old.
How old? No. Did you like her?
Very much, yes.
What was her name?
Her name was Doreen.
Where was she evacuated from?
She came from Lowestoft on the east coast of England.
How did she get to you?
They came in a bus from Lowestoft and they took them to the school in Whitwell, my school where I went to school when I was little.
How did she get? No. Where did she stay in your house?
She stayed in the bedroom of my sister and I, and we slept 3 little girls in one bed.
Did she go to school?
Yes.
What did it feel like during the air raids?
I remember one air raid in particular. Aeroplanes came over Whitwell because they were going to bomb Sheffield, which was a big city which made steel. And the air raid siren went, and my dad lifted me up and put me on his shoulder, and we ran from my house to my grandma's house. And in my grandma's garden there was something we called a dugout, and her sons had dug in the garden a great big hole. Well, it was square with seats in it and a door, and we all went in there and closed the door, and we were safe from the bombs, and we sang.
Were you hungry because of the rationing?
I can never remember being hungry. We had powdered eggs, and we had bread with lard, and we had ration books, so that we had some form of foods that we couldn't grow ourselves. But my dad grew a lot of vegetables in the garden, so we were never hungry.
Where did you put the blackout up in your house?
It was in every window, over every window and every door, to keep every little bit of light.
Did you always have to carry your gas mask around with you?
Yes, always.
Did you have any other evacuees?
Yes. Before Doreen came to us, we had a little boy, but unfortunately he stole some money, and he stole some cigarettes.
What are cigarettes?
Cigarettes that people smoke. They used to smoke a lot in those days. And he stole cigarettes and money. And so my dad had to take him back to the school, and he told them what had happened, and so he left him there, and then he brought Doreen back. We had a little girl then. So I don't know what happened to that little boy. I think someone else had him, but he was naughty.
When did Dorian go back home?
I think, Millie, she stayed with us about a year, if I remember. It probably was a little bit more than a year, but I think it was about a year. And we were very sad when she went back home, because we got that we loved her.
Is there anything else you can remember about the war?
I can remember when the aeroplanes came over, my dad took me on his shoulders and we ran down to my grandma's house, and they had a shelter in the garden. My uncles had dug it out in the garden, and it was a very good shelter in the ground with seats in it and a hurricane lamp and a lid that pulled down.
What?
And we stayed in there, and it was safe, and I liked it in there.
What's a hurricane lamp?
It's a big lamp with a wick inside it, and you light the wick, and there is oil in the lamp, and the oil lets the wick burn. You light it, and it lasts for quite a long time. So we had light.
Thank you for interviewing.
You're very welcome.
I am now going to interview my granddad Chaz, who was evacuated during the blip.
Next question.
How old was you when you were evacuated?
I think I was about 9 years old.
Where were you evacuated from and to?
I was evacuated from Manchester to Blackpool
How did you travel there?
by train.
How long did you stay?
3 days,
Why only that long?
because the landlady treated us like animals, and it was a horrible experience. My mother brought us back after 3 days.
What was different in Blackpool to your home?
Well, there was not enough room to put me and my brother in beds, proper beds, and she wanted to stick me in the bath made up as a bed. So my mother says, we're all going home.
Can you remember the names of the family that looked after you?
No.
What did it feel like during the air raid?
Pretty scary, because the bombs were dropping nearby. In Manchester, quite a few bombs dropped, and everything shook, and houses were demolished, windows were blown in, doors were blown off. It's quite frightening.
Were you hungry because of the rationing?
Sometimes, yes.
What food did you have?
Well, basic food. You couldn't get eggs, so we had powdered eggs. Meat was in short supply. Fruit, the only fruit you could get was local fruit, apples. You couldn't get bananas, all those had finished because the boats couldn't get across the Atlantic with the food. So food was basic.
Where did you put the blackout up in your house?
All the windows, because air raid wardens were patrolling outside. And if they saw any light coming from the windows, they banged on the door and told you to get that light out, cover it up.
Did you have an Anderson shelter?
No. No, we had a proper brick shelter in the backyard with a little fireplace in it.
What was it like?
It's quite cosy when the fire was lit. Very cold in the winter at first, but when the fire was lit, it was nice and cosy. Me and my brother used to take comics in there and read, and there was two shelters together. I was with next door, and between the two there was a brick missing along the top. We could pass the comics through and talk to the children next door in the shelter.
What did you take in your suitcase when you were evacuated?
Well, some clothes, some comics.
Did you always have to carry your gas mask around?
Everywhere, at school, everywhere you went, had your gas mask with you.
Did your dad fight in the war?
Yes, he's in the Navy.
Thank you for interviewing.
Oh, thank you very much.
Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye.